Hi guys, so I feel like I need to get a better schedule for vlogging. Feels like it's been forever since my last video. I need a haircut, like really bad. Like I'm thinking of getting a near buzz cut for summer. Anyway, the point of this video is just to freely talk, because I clearly do not script my videos, about something that I've gotten into recently, and that is superheroes. I've always expressed like dislike and borderline like disgust for superheroes, and I think now that I have some perspective on that, when I was growing up it was always the boys who picked on me, who thought superheroes were cool. I had a few like follow me and just say creepy things, and I didn't want to get into things that they liked, and also there was the fact that a few of them told me I couldn't get into it. In fact, one of my exes told me to never get into Marvel because I wouldn't understand it, or like I could not understand it. Looking back on it, I felt like, oh yeah, I mean, why would I understand that? I'm too dumb for sci-fi, I'm too dumb for fantasy, I'm too dumb for superheroes. I can never understand this. The only thing I will ever understand is Harry Potter. I never in a million years thought I would understand even the basics of Star Wars. In fact, like I went out of my way to tell people to never try to get me into it because I just wouldn't. And that's like the extent. I was just so like, I felt like such an outsider and like unworthy. And it sounds like silly to someone who might have grown up with these things or whatever, and they've always just been part of their lives. It might sound silly to say like I felt like an outsider to like superheroes. Like that sounds dramatic, I feel like, but that's how it felt to me. I just felt like I didn't belong there, like I didn't deserve to know about this magical world. And I also felt like a lot of them were guys and I wouldn't relate, and people like egged me on. They were like, yeah, like you can't relate. I mean, what is a lesbian gonna have to be interested in with Marvel? And then I heard about, you know, all this cosplay stuff with people dressing as their favorite characters and getting like creeped on and all this stuff. Like over the years I've kind of gotten the vibe of like, I'm not good enough, I will never understand them, they will never be interesting to me because I would never understand them. And you know, people have just driven that home for me, that it's not something I would be interested in. I've even had friends say, not to drag you guys, who have said like, oh, I didn't think you were the type to be into comics or superheroes or whatever. And like even before I said like, oh, I don't really like superheroes, my friends were saying, best friends were like, oh, like she's not a superhero person. I'm just like, what does that mean? There are girls who like superheroes, and surely people must know this. Do they look like the type who like superheroes? You know what I mean? Like, what is a superhero type? Think what you're supposed to think, at least. I don't know about right now, but like over the years with comics, the type of person you think is like a geeky guy who like a basement dweller. I don't know, there's a certain stigma with like comics and like just being a boring guy. I don't know. I was always like low-key interested. Like I always just felt like that was a step, that was a leap, and I could not make that. I actually wrote a paper about cosplay, specifically like Marvel, for class once, because it was literary journalism and I was supposed to present on something that I was outside of, that I was interested in but wasn't a part of. And I actually had friends who were into it at that time, and they knew I was writing this, and they were like, oh, that's really cool, like yeah, you're outside that, like go ahead and write about it, maybe you'll figure something out. And it just seemed hostile. Like the people who I knew who were into it just seemed wrong for me. And that's what I've come to realize, is that the people I've associated with superheroes have been the problem. It took me my whole life to realize this. Now when I look at superheroes, I don't think like, oh, I'm a girl, I can't understand this. I think like, wow, like he has an amazing arc. Like Iron Man is super cool, and it's not something I can't understand just because of who I am. Like, you know, if superheroes are not your thing and you don't like longer movies with like, you know, kind of more of a detailed plot with a background that leads up to it, that's fine. But that has nothing to do with like if you can or can't understand it. If you want to understand it, then you can. A lot of girls who were never into it, like they feel like it's like hard sci-fi, and I hate that term, but I feel like that's the common perception. Like it's too much to get into, it's too complicated, it's too messy of a plot line and all this stuff. But the reality is that there's so many points to get into it. I watched all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies before seeing Civil War, and that's actually why I did that. I mean, I wanted to see Civil War and I was like pretty interested in it, and I had a coworker who was like, you should watch the 12, like, I know it sounds like a lot, but whatever, just do it. So I was like, okay, like, why not? Like, I'm gonna get into something new. My ex and a lot of people I used to know would always tell me I couldn't understand it. So like, hell yeah, I'm gonna understand it right now. Like, I've gotten to Star Wars last year and just like a bunch of new shows and movies and things that I've never watched and never indulged in because I just felt like I didn't have the time or whatever. And now I'm out of college and I just feel like free. I know it's cheesy, this whole video was cheesy, but I just felt like it was important to talk about this. I got into something new and it's exciting, and I sat there for 2 weeks and watched all the MCU movies, and now I feel like I've gotten to this point where like I'm sad that these characters don't exist, and I've gotten to that point where it's like I wish Hogwarts was real. Like, I wish, you know, like it's become like it's a cultural thing, and I wanted to understand it, and now I feel like I feel like I do understand, but I feel like I'm just starting, and that's really an exciting feeling instead of feeling like left out. Just thank you if you've helped me and not judged, because when I was getting into Star Wars, there was like a little more judgment actually than me getting into Marvel. Like, I would like be like, oh, like I love this character, and people would be like, you got into this yesterday, you don't even know who he is. It's like, can I express enthusiasm here? Like, can you calm down? You do not own Star Wars, okay? Just chill. Specifics, I guess. My favorite characters are Tony Stark and Bucky Barnes, and I also loved Negasonic Teenage Warhead from Deadpool, which I just saw last night. I love Civil War. I saw it twice in theaters and I want to see it a third time. So my favorites from the MCU, I guess, are Ant-Man. I really loved that one. And I think Iron Man 2 would have been my number 2. And the others, I gotta think about. I think Winter Soldier would be my number 3. It's just empowering to be able to say that, like, yeah, these characters are mine now. Like, back off. Like, I'll have my opinions about them and you can have yours. And we can all enjoy these and not have to fight each other. And I'm allowed to be into anything that I want. So if you're interested in something and someone tries to tell you, like, oh, I don't know if you'd get that, whatever reason or another, you don't feel like you could or should or would, just give it a try if you're interested. If you're interested, that's all that matters. If it's interesting at all, like if you're curious at all, do it. Comment if you have any type of similar story. I would love to hear. I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye.